Rightio team, welcome to the first Simply Sport Pod. Today we are literally just going on, winging it, I'm being honest, we're winging it a little bit. This is the first time that I've tried something like this. This is the first time that, for the first time I tried something like this. Let's put it simply to that, to be honest. This is me, this is Raw. We are going to be trying things we haven't done before and just talking about basically everything sport related. So that goes from F1 to football to boxing, all sorts we're going to be covering in various episodes. But this is the very, very first one. So primarily today is going to be about football. It is going to be about football. It is going to be primarily maybe a bit more towards the Premier League. But, as the episodes go along, we're going to have more and more diverse content. So as we're going forward, it starts from here. This is the very, very first one. Everything's got to start from somewhere, and this is where we start. I've maybe dragged that intro maybe a bit longer than it's supposed to, but listen, this is a podcast, and things are not always perfect on podcasts. So, where we're gonna start with today. So, I've kind of been looking at different things throughout the week, and what could we start the podcast with? What could we be looking to do? We are going to be having phone-ins, so we are going to be having some people coming on to the show to give their views on maybe stuff that I'm about to talk about just beforehand. We're also going to be having people coming on, giving opinions about their teams, about their leagues, just kind of giving a bit more diversity to the show. So you're not just listening to me for the whole maybe about hour or so that we're going to be recording for. So yes, one of the great things about the phone-in as well is it gives a chance for you guys to get involved in the podcast, be part of the content, and just brighten things up a little bit, give us a laugh, give us some really good points. It gives us a really good base, and I'm excited for it to kind of see what you have got to say. Whether or not we agree, whether or not we have arguments about, anything can happen with it, which is kind of exciting almost at the same time. But one of the great things about this, from you guys' point of view, is it gives you a chance to win a bit of money. If you're the best call in the podcast, you win yourself a wee tenner, and if you're the best one for the month, you win yourself 40 quid. I mean, can seem like easy money, isn't it? All you have to be is interesting. So, without further ado, let's maybe just go into maybe the kind of first topic that I maybe got down in my podcast at the moment. And one of the first topics that I've got down is actually just maybe talking about the previous transfer window that we've just had. Looking at maybe some of the teams and whether or not they've done enough. And I primarily want to focus primarily on the relegation and the top four race at the moment. We are looking at the likes of, if I start to look at the top four race, out of all the teams that that are kind of really competing for top four, the only one that really recruited in the January window was Tottenham. They brought in the likes of Kulusevski, Bentancur, players that are playing in Europe already. They're playing for Juventus, prestigious club, and they've come into a Tottenham side. And in all honesty, in the 2 games they've played or so, they've done a decent job. And I mean, you look at the Man City result they just had there. That is massive for Spurs. I mean, a lot of it came down to Harry Kane. Harry Kane just obviously is a top player. Even as an Arsenal fan, you just have to applaud the fact that Harry Kane is of that caliber, where he can drag what can be a very meh Spurs side and get a result against City, who, let's face it, is one of the best teams in Europe. Despite the fact they don't actually have a striker. I mean, you just imagine if City had actually managed to get Harry Kane, where they would be and what they would be doing. I mean, would anyone be able to beat them? But you know what? City got caught a little bit, particularly defensively. You look at the first goal in particular. Like the fact that Diaz tries to play offside on Son, and he just runs straight through, and they get caught completely off guard. It's the Spurs team just seems to be maybe gelling a bit more now, but I try not to speak too soon. They were in a tricky place before this game. All of a sudden, things seem to be good in the hood. All of a sudden, so we'll have to wait and see how things go forward. Whether or not they are in, if they're gonna do managed to clinch top four. They're pretty far down at the moment, and I only say this because they're on the same amount of games played as Arsenal, but they are 3 points behind, and 3 points behind in kind of race for top four is it's kind of huge. One team that I feel personally I feel is going to struggle in the top four race. First of all, is going to say West Ham. I don't feel West Ham have nearly enough quality, particularly in the attacking areas, to clinch top four. They rely very heavily on Antonio and Bowen. It's just not quite there for West Ham in my opinion. I feel that they will drop down below 6th, 7th potentially. I feel it's going to happen. It's just kind of a matter of when rather than will they. So with West Ham wise, although I really like how David Moyes has made that team and what he's managed to achieve with them, I just don't see it unfortunately for West Ham to clinch top four and even 5th or 6th. I feel like 7th realistically in my opinion is where West Ham are going to kind of sit in the end. Man United, this is a really hard one. This is a really, really hard one. If you had asked me at the beginning of the season, I would be saying that Man United are potentially winning the league or second. And at the moment, they're the most games played alongside West Ham, sitting 4th. Only 4 points ahead of Arsenal with 3 games in hand. It's not an amazing position for Man United. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of games to play, but it's not a great position. I would fancy Spurs over Man United at the moment, but it's very poised to be a very interesting end to the season. Let's just say that. Outside chance, let's mention Golding in chat there has just mentioned Wolves. Wolves are very much in the chat. They're very much in the chat because you look at their defensive record. All season they've conceded 18 goals. The only team that has conceded less goals than them is Manchester City. That is an incredible record. It's like for a team. The only issue that comes to them is that they're not particularly scoring that many. If I look down the list at the moment, to find a team that has scored less goals than Wolves, you have to go all the way down to 19th, which is Burnley. That's where their downfall's going to be. If I'm being honest, they're just not scoring enough. In my opinion, it's just you can have one of the strongest defense. I mean, you can have one of the sports. Cheers, Reese, man. You can have one of the strongest defenses in the league. One of the best goalkeepers in the league. Let's face it, he's been absolutely outstanding. I think they're gonna fall short. I don't think they've got enough wins in them to get it over the line. Despite the fact they're really good result at the weekend against Leicester. Leicester, God, how they've fallen from grace a little bit of late. I definitely fancy them to stay back up, come back up, but sitting at 11th for the moment from Leicester is a bit poor, considering they're a team that really fancy themselves for the table. Out of all the teams that we've kind of discussed there, the one I'm missing at the moment is obviously the team I support, which is Arsenal. In my opinion, I don't think they have enough to get top 4. I fancy them for 5th. I don't think 4th is really going to happen. As much as I would love it to happen, it's the squad is not big enough. There's not enough depth there to clinch the 4th spot, and that's where the downfall is probably going to come. If I'm being honest, there's just not enough depth there, striker wise. I mean, you've got Lacazette and Nketiah, both are not really scoring enough. Nketiah in particular has just been very, very meh, if I'm being honest. Now, obviously, Reese brings up there in chat there, Saka and Smith Rowe, they are huge. They are huge for Arsenal. They really, really are. And they will drag us through results consistently. Same with Martinelli as well. They will drag us through results as well. Same with Ramsdale. He will drag us through results as well. But is it enough? And I kind of maybe look at us a little bit as just a better West Ham, where we play good, but is it just we're gonna fall just short of where we want to be? West Ham want to be in Europe, right? Now, top four. Let's face it. West Ham's ambitions are going to be Europe, not top four. They just want to be in the European places. They want European football at West Ham, and that I feel they could potentially achieve. But I just don't feel top four is a reasonable shout for them. Arsenal, it's really hard. I would love to say that they will get top four, and I feel like right now they are in the most favourable position for top four, but I feel like they're going to fall short. There's going to be a few results that are just going to go against them, or they need to pull out some massive performances like they did against Manchester City, but just against every team. And I feel like they're just going to fall short. All it's going to take is two injuries, two injuries, and that's the squad gone. Now, Reese brings up a good point: the fact that Arsenal haven't had Europe this season. That's definitely helped. Let's look back at when Chelsea fell out of Europe, and all of a sudden they went from really bad in league to all of a sudden really good, and then that's helped them propel themselves forward and keep them high up in the table. So Europe has maybe actually helped Arsenal, and that's maybe why they can sacrifice some of the players, let's be honest, some of the dead wood in the team that they've managed to get rid of, and it's kind of helped them up the table quite a bit. One of the most debatable topics about Arsenal was obviously Aubameyang leaving the club, and leaving them without what many would consider as a clear goal scorer. Obviously he's just scored a hat trick for Barcelona, but you would also say that Barcelona in particular, the league is just not the same standard as the Premier League. It's just not the same standard. He is going to get more goals in that league because the quality of the sides he's coming up against are not as good. The pace difference that he has is going to be more notable in that league. So that's where I kind of expected them to kick on a little bit at Barca, and obviously I hope him all the best there. But I feel like he just wasn't right for Arsenal. I feel it was the right move to get him out of the league. And into a team that actually really needs him. Let's face it, Barcelona have really dropped off, and it's definitely the right move for him. It's the right move for Barca. They've got a goal scorer, and hopefully they'll start climbing up the rankings as well, because Barcelona's squad is fallen from grace quite considerably. He's got aging defense, aging top players in the side. They need to look at how they're going to replace with near to no money. So obviously Aubameyang was a great shout for them, out of favour of Arsenal, and he can move to one of the greatest clubs in footballing history. So yes, absolutely great move for him. But from an Arsenal point of view, nobody coming in January was always going to be a worry. It's always going to be a worry, but we have to wait and see. Let's see what some of the people are saying in chat. Yeah, when Liverpool had no Europe, we always won the league. Almost won the league. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I forgot about the Liverpool's one. Yeah, absolutely, almost won the league when they had no Europe. It was like Chelsea as well. Could really say that about Tottenham because they went ages without in the Europe, didn't they? Cheeky dig at Tottenham. Obviously, I just had to do that, didn't I? But yeah, obviously no Europe has definitely helped Arsenal, but for me personally, I feel they're just going to fall short. I would love to say that they're going to finish top four. I think fifth is actually probably the more realistic endpoint for them. I don't feel they'll fall below that because I feel that the quality in the side is better than a lot of the other teams that are about there. I would, if I had to guess now, if I had to say who was going to be getting fourth, I would actually be I would probably say Tottenham, Arsenal, then United, and then Wolves. I'm being honest, and then West Ham. That's the way I see it personally. But I don't know. What do you think? If who do you think, based on where we are right now, who do you think will get the 4th spot? Obviously we're going to be bringing people in on the phone in as well. You can talk about this as well. Give your opinions. Who do you think is going to be key for each of these teams as well? Who do you think is going to drag them up? Obviously, David's in the chat. David, the Liverpool fan, obviously singing the fact that loving the fact that the title race is back on for Liverpool. It's definitely there for them. Obviously, once if Liverpool win their game in hand, then that's obviously only 3 points between Liverpool and Manchester City, which does make it does definitely make the title race a little bit more interesting. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with there. But I think we can all agree that the only people really competing for the title now is Liverpool and City. There's no way Chelsea are going to get in there, especially with Romelu Lukaku's form. I don't know if anyone saw it, but in the latest Chelsea game, Lukaku played 90 minutes and had, I think it was something like 7 touches of the ball. Yep, there we go. Yep, it's just been pointed there. Is one of the worst stats ever. It's the worst amount of touches in a game for a player that's played 90 minutes. 7 touches off the ball. He got 7 for a full 90 minutes. Is incredible. Absolutely incredible. You think of the fact that there's teams where the goalkeeper has pretty much nothing to do, and he's having more touches of the ball than a striker. Is madness, absolutely madness. But it does kind of ask the questions. Why was it only 7 touches? Were Chelsea really giving Lukaku enough opportunities? I didn't see the game, to be honest. I don't know if any of the people in chat saw the game, whether or not Chelsea were really trying to play to Lukaku's strength and actually give him the ball, or if it was just like poor passing or poor movement. Probably a combination of the both, if I'm being honest, because it took ages for Chelsea to actually get the win, but they did in the end. They managed to grind out against Palace, but it's 7 touches of the ball is kind of very inexcusable, really. Even if you're playing badly, surely you would run back to get the ball and bring your team forward. One of his touches were from kickoff. Bloody hell. So technically speaking, it's only 6 touches he had. Only 6 touches that he had. Jeez, oh man. Jeez, oh. Well, yeah, listen, we've discussed the kind of top 4 there, how it looks. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up on the screen the Simply Podcast Discord, and we're going to talk about a little bit about our predictions and where the squad in the Discord think that the results this week are going to go. So let's bring this up. Let's get everyone's views on how they think that these results are going to go. Obviously we're looking at the likes of so I'll be reading these out for those that are listening on the likes of Spotify and Apple Music. I'll read these all out for you. But if you're on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. That obviously helps out the channel. Give your predictions as well in the video as well, how you think these are going to go, and if the game's already passed, get your thoughts on the game. So let's run through these predictions. Let's see how they go. Obviously, guys that are watching the stream, you can also give your comments as well on whether or not you feel that the Discord's gone way out of whack with these predictions. But let's have a wee look at these. So first game is Chelsea versus Lille. Chelsea obviously giant in Europe, giant in Premier League, against Lille, who are consistently in Europe of late. Definitely been consistent in Europe of late. They do have some very good players in there. There's likes of David, who has been having a mad season for them. There's also Botman as well, who Newcastle were after at the back as well. So there is quality in that Lille side. And Chelsea are occasionally, the defensive record is decent, but attack wise, they have of late been struggling with goals. Where can I see the predictions? So in the Simply Sport, you got to make sure that you tick the verification thing. This is a note for anyone that also is in the Discord or join the Discord. You have to verify your account, so you need to basically just react to that post, and it will verify your account. Once you are in the Discord as well, you can also select your roles. So, for example, if you're a Celtic fan, there is a Celtic tab as well where you can show people that you are a Celtic fan. But yes, we're running through all the predictions at the moment. So obviously Chelsea and Leo overwhelmingly towards Chelsea at the moment. Only one vote for Leo, which was Remy, that's in the chat. It's entirely possible Leo could get something. I like to point out the predictions that we did last week. Everyone in the Discord, and I mean everyone in the Discord, thought that Brighton were going to beat Burnley. And then if you looked at the results, you know exactly how that went. Burnley absolutely tearing Brighton a new one. So listen, these predictions aren't perfect, but they give us an idea at least of what people's thought processes are, and what they think will happen. So yes, overwhelming for Chelsea there. I definitely feel the same way, if I'm being honest. I definitely feel that Chelsea are the more likely, and I feel like the quality, particularly in midfield and defence, is going to be more than enough to overpower Leo. But we have to wait and see what's going to happen with that one. Obviously, like David could pull something out. They do have other quality players as well, so let's just wait and see what happens with that one. Villarreal, Juventus. Obviously, Juventus spending big in the January window, bringing in Vlahovic. I fully fancy them to get a result here, but Juventus have been up and down. Villarreal obviously do also have some quality players as well in their side, but I feel like Juventus, giants of Europe almost. They kind of just, I feel like they need to get a result. They need a result. Vlahovic has been already be scoring for them. Obviously they got rid of a few players in the January window as well. Vlahovic, Bentancur, Klevetsky. They've turned down their squad a little bit and looking at maybe trimming down more in the summer. But again, I feel like Juventus have got more than enough quality in their side to come away with a result, and that's what's been reflected in the Discord as well. Most people definitely feeling that Juventus are going to run away with it almost. Big game here, and one that's maybe divided quite a bit of opinion here. Athletical Madrid versus Man United. Now, Athletical Madrid are out without some key players. So this is where this has caused a bit of debate. Athletico Madrid have been very up and down this season as well, but Man United are pretty much the same, let's be honest. Have been very up and down. You never really know what you're going to get with either. This is really, really tough to say. If I was to guess right now, I feel that Man United have the quality in the side to get the result. But will that happen? I don't know. It's really, really difficult. Those have most United fans in there voted for Athletico. That's a fair point, actually. Yeah, if I have a quick look, United fan. Actually, no. Let's see. He's a United fan. Okay, more United fans voted than non-United fans. So there, give you that one. So it's really hard to predict. I can't tell which way it's going to go. I do feel personally that Man United have enough to get a result out of that game, but we don't know yet. Players out with COVID, you don't know how that's going to affect the squad. So again, we don't really know, but I personally feel United in this one is probably going to be the way that it's going to go. Looking at next game, Benfica Ajax. Ajax won. I feel like Ajax just have that little bit extra quality. Gravenberch has been amazing for Ajax of late as well. Definitely feel that they've got the quality to kind of take Benfica, but Benfica have been good as well. So I definitely fancy Ajax more than Benfica. I'm not gonna go over this one too much because I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough to go into greater detail, but If I was to guess right now, I would definitely be saying Ajax. Now to go into a game that I think is divided opinion a little bit in this one. Arsenal Wolves. Arsenal Wolves. Wow. Arsenal scraped a win, obviously, against Wolves in last week's game. Coming up again against Wolves at home. Wolves deserved something out from Arsenal last time, Golding says. Yeah, did they? Like they defended well, but I don't think didn't well towards the end actually. Yeah, towards the end they did put in quite a bit of pressure. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it like the Martinelli sending off obviously was a controversial one as well. I don't know what your thoughts are, obviously, on Martinelli's sending off. What do you guys think as well? Do you feel that that was a justified sending off? Do you feel that maybe there was a maybe he should have given the warning? This is highly debatable. If he's given the yellow card, he doesn't make the second, but at the same time, he's not had the time to give the yellow card, so theoretically he's got to make the decision there and then. So it's, I don't know. Is it what do you guys think? Obviously, Golding has just said there. To be fair, it is the correct decision. He's been stupid. He shoved someone over. Yeah. Technically speaking, I feel like this is the inner Arsenal fan. This is a bit biased in my opinion. You look at the throw in. Technically speaking, it's a foul throw in. Like technically speaking, it's a foul throw in. So theoretically, he should have actually stopped it there and then. Like that's where I'm kind of at with that one. Is like technically it should have been stopped at the throw in. Should be a yellow card then and then. It is what it is. It's a foul throw in, but then obviously he should know that is a yellow card. He should know that as soon as he's done that is a yellow card coming. The fact that he then makes a second in the same passage of play, he's got to know that there's going to be some even if he gets only one yellow, he knows well his next challenge is a red, like regardless. Just due to the tally, he's going to get it. So yeah, it's is the correct decision, but I feel it's very, very, very harsh. As Arteta did say, in order to do that, you had to kind of want to do it. Like, let's face it, a lot of refs would have just given the yellow. To give the red was kind of like you have to want to make that decision almost. It's not just going off the book in that case. He's like you have to want to do it. So I got the point there as well. And although I feel it's very harsh, I at the end of the day, I feel like there's justification to give the red. So yeah, that is fair enough. I think he's back for this game as well, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Smith Rowe obviously scored a really nice goal at the weekend there. I feel like he'll probably keep his place. However, though, I don't know if he does as well usually over 90 minutes. Despite the fact that he has been unreal for Arsenal, he's actually probably had his best moments when he's actually come off the bench. So it's a hard one to say with that one as well. So we'll wait and see. Reece, we just talked about the Arsenal Wolves one. Why so many backing Wolves? I think yeah. If I'm looking at this right now, who's backed Wolves here? So, Man United fan, Liverpool fan, Man United fan, Liverpool fan, Man United fan, Celtic, Liverpool fan. So it's all kind of Liverpool and Man United fans, to be honest. But I think that is what's made up most of the Discord. If I had to guess, right, if I'm being fully honest here, I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw, if I'm being honest. They say Xhaka didn't want the armband. They did explain the fact that apparently Kieran Tierney was next in line for the armband. That I do kind of believe. I do believe that he was probably next in line. Xhaka probably before even the lineup was kind of made for captain, he was probably one that was saying that he didn't want it, which is fair enough. Some players just don't want that responsibility of being the captain, which you have to understand. That's what some people don't want. So yes, absolutely. The Leicester result boosts their morale. Yeah, in fairness, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to look at the next game, which is Napoli versus Barcelona. Was a very cagey game last week between these two, and people have edged towards Now, keep in mind that Barcelona were at the new camp, and yes, they were unlucky actually, yeah, because Torres had a golden opportunity at the end of the game to win it, and they never took it. So, Barcelona, you know what, I do fancy Barcelona. I feel like Napoli got a bit of an aging side. A lot of the good players are getting on a bit. But again, you could say the exact same for Barcelona. However, I feel Barcelona recruited better than Napoli in the window. So, this is gonna be a really good game to watch. If I don't know which day it is, but I would be tuning into that one, to be honest. Should be, I think it's Thursday actually, that one. That should be a really, really good game to watch. But Barcelona, you just never really know what you're gonna get with them. But that's because there's so many inconsistent performers in that Barcelona. I've got somebody at my work that's a Barcelona supporter, and he's very up and down with Barca at the moment. He just doesn't know what to expect. He just doesn't know what to expect, and he seems very deflated at times. We're discussing Barcelona now. He seems very deflated at times, but we'll wait and see. In fairness, on that note of Barcelona, it's just made me rethink about Athletical Madrid, and I think I'm definitely going Man United because I remember Barcelona's most recent. Barcelona are hit and miss at times, but they managed to get a result against Athletical Madrid. And I think if a very below par Barcelona side is getting a result against Athletico Madrid, I fancy a Man United team with good quality players to get that result against Athletico Madrid. So I'm going to go back on what I said a little bit there. And again, I'm saying Man United definitely this time are going to get a result against Athletico, I think. Yeah, 100%. Rightio, we come to our last game before we start the phone-ins. So I'll say again, guys, if you are wanting in the phone in, you'll see the little phone in thing on the left hand side. You'll see Remy in there already waiting. You just join that voice channel, and I'll be dragging you into the live one, and basically you'll have maybe between 5 and 7 minutes to kind of talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if you're the best caller of the night, you win yourself a tenner. We'll be streaming for probably about another half an hour, so plenty of time to get as many people in as we can and discuss things to as much depth as we can. So if you want to get involved, make sure that you jump in that phone in channel, and I'll be dragging people in, and we'll obviously see who's going to be the call of the night, basically the call of the night. But yeah, last game we're talking about Rangers and Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, this was an incredible game, right? No matter who you support, this was an incredible game. You know, the circumstances of both teams, the goals, oh my god, some of the goals were class. Like Lundstrom's and Gamero's were just like, wow. Like these are top quality goals right there. Ryan Kent had one of the best games I've ever seen him have. And I'll be honest, I don't normally rate Kent. Like, I think he's massively overhyped, but he's just good at turning. That's pretty much all he is. He's just good at turning. And in the Scottish League, good at turning equates into a decent player. But yeah, I don't rate Kent massively, but yeah, he had one of the best games I've ever seen him have in a Rangers shirt in that game. Personally, for me, I feel Dortmund win this game, but I actually feel it's going to be a 1-0 win. I don't think it's going to be a world class performance. I feel like Haaland will get his goal, but I feel Rangers will still go through. If I'm being honest, I feel like Rangers will still go through. I honestly think Rangers will still go through. Let's see what chat's saying. So, Grodis, never thought I'd want Rangers to win, but if it helps the coefficient and subsequently St Johnstone, then I'm happy to support them. I definitely get your point there. Yes. As a neutral in this fixture, as someone looking on, it does definitely help Scottish football. Rangers going through here, beating Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, it does. Although Celtic fans will just want them to get absolutely destroyed, it does help Scottish football. It does. It raises the profile of all the players that are in the Rangers team as well. It raises the profile of the league. It helps us massively going forward. Them doing well. We've always needed Celtic and Rangers to do well in Europe for the league to progress. That's just something we've always needed, and we just haven't really got it. Usually, one team does really well in Europe and the other team doesn't. This is the problem. This is where we need both to do well. I didn't put the Celtic one up here because I just didn't put the Celtic one up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably should have done considering the amount of people in my Discord that are Celtic fans. So yeah. So though, how do you feel? Reese, a Celtic fan, is saying that Bodo about to knock us out. We haven't won a European knockout tie since we got to the final in 2003. Jesus. That is something, isn't it? That is something. 2003, the last time Celtic won a knockout tie, is that's not great. That's not great. And I would have fancied you against Bodo as well. I mean, the tie's not gone. Away goals aren't a thing. So, you just need the team to step up. You just need the team to step up. I'm not gonna lie, that Dundee result is not gonna fill you with a lot of confidence, is it? That Dundee result is just not gonna fill you with a lot of confidence. So yeah, I didn't know that. That's an interesting fact straight there, Reese. You know, the fact that they haven't won a knockout game since 2003 is also mad. They also play in a plastic park. Oh Jesus, man. Oh jeez, they actually are the Scottish Livy, aren't they? They actually, they are the Norwegian Livy, or is it Denmark? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure someone said Norway, but I can't remember now. Yeah, they're basically just another Livingston. But I do believe this one's at Celtic Park. This game, isn't it? The next one. Kiko's joined as well. He's just said there, 3-2 win is a win, Dundee or not. I mean, the fact that I can't pronounce his name, but the Greek striker that you've got is managed to bag a hat trick. That's going to do his confidence massive wonders, and it also gives you maybe a different style of play right there. Absolutely. We are at Tony next. Yeah, I can as well. Yeah, the Tony Macaroni next. I'll be going to that game as well. Obviously Celtic have always struggled on plastic pitches, to be honest, but particularly at Livingston. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. 100%. I'm not gonna say that, Reese. I'm going to try and keep this podcast as clean as I can, but obviously we'll see what happens over the phone ends. Like I said, guys, as well. Like you said, guys, if you want to get in the phone, we're just about to pop into the phone ends. Make sure you get into the voice channel on the left hand side of the screen. Join Remy in there, and I'll be dragging people over one by one as we jump into the voice chat. But that is us done for the predictions of this podcast so far. So without further ado, let's get into the fun bit, which is going to be the phone ends. Let's see who we get in. Let's see what people are going to be saying. Make sure that if you're in the phone in, you get you understand, you know what you're going to come in and what kind of topics you want to talk about straight away. Because I'm going to ask you straight away. But yeah, we're going to get jumped into this almost straight away. Here we go. First phone in of the day, we have Remy, who is a Man United supporter and is coming in. Let's see what he's got. So Remy, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. How's things?
Not too bad, really. No, having you on ours it's nice to be on. Nice to see you finally get this show up and running. You've been talking about it for quite some time, so it's nice to finally see it actually becoming a thing.
I've almost said I've been talking about this show for probably about a year, roughly.
Too fucking long.
Yeah, probably about. So Remy, you've got about 7 or so minutes to get your point across. Don't be boring.
See, the one thing I want to say is I don't know whether to have an opinion as a Livingston fan or a Manchester United fan, because do you remember the match you and I watched, Ross County?
Yes.
That's the most fun I've had watching a football match since Rangnick has taken over. Like, I genuinely do not give a shit about what happens to Manchester United right now. There's just no passion, there's no love, there's like the fans are almost like slowly realizing that, oh shit, maybe it wasn't all Ole's fault.
Yeah, no,
Like,
absolutely. I mean, it's been brought up multiple times on the likes of Talk Sport and stuff like that. That the manager isn't the problem. The problem at the moment is
fucking backroom in the players.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, for you personally at the moment, what would you say is the biggest issue at the moment? Would you say it's one in particular player? Would you
Ronaldo.
say Ronaldo? You think Ronaldo's the problem?
Like you, both you and Andy were very, very, very aware of my opinions on it when it was first announced that it would be happening, and I, to me, that was just a step in the wrong fucking direction. Like, yes, greatest of all time. I don't like saying that because I don't like him, but he is the greatest of all time.
Very
But
controversial opinion, that one, that you don't like Ronaldo.
I can't stand him. I never could. The same reason why I don't like Paul Pogba. I don't like the showboaty, like unnecessary crap that they do on the pitch.
Mm.
But for me, like signing Ronaldo was a step in the wrong direction. That was looking to the past to try and fix a problem that he's not going to be around long enough to fix. Like, it was a mistake, and I think it was a case of like, was that a signing to buy Ole more time? Because like bringing Ronaldo back for obviously for a lot of fans
Mhm.
was a very much a Hail Mary move that so many people have wanted to see for so many years, because
Mhm.
you heard every transfer window you heard about it, like, oh, Ronaldo's coming back, but this time it actually happened, and
Yeah,
then
no,
slowly
absolutely.
realizing he was too much of an ego.
It was talked about for a long, long time about whether
Yeah.
or not it was going to happen for Ronaldo, and obviously the fact he's back, the fact you had Sancho as well coming in.
Mm.
There was a lot of excitement. I mean, let's face it, a lot of people, including myself, said the likes of United, they could win the league.
No, like myself included. Like, see, for the first couple of weeks of the season, like I genuinely thought Manchester United were title contenders. Like,
Mhm.
I really, I really, really did. The football we were playing, just everything seemed to gel together. And I don't know. Well, we do know what happened. Like, having, it's like Bruno's essentially been made a non player. Like,
Mhm.
he's still obviously playing, but he was always go to man.
Mhm.
He like felt like he was valuable. Like, we had a problem, we went to him to fix it. As soon
Mhm.
as Ronaldo's come in, it's like he's been completely stripped of his personality, his vigor. He's very much not in the same mindset that he was like before Ronaldo came. And
Mhm.
having such a massive ego like that in the back room, like the fact that he wasn't even in the team's WhatsApp group, like he wasn't talking to the
That
players. He was
we got to be careful with stuff like that, because is that necessarily confirmed, or is that more speculation? Because WhatsApp groups are very very kind of it's they get talked about, but it's whether or not these things actually even still happen now. Because I obviously I know a couple of players myself, and some clubs don't allow WhatsApp groups, for example,
okay, fair enough.
because of the
That I
the
didn't know.
issues with the likes of leaks and
Mm.
kind of general journalism and the fact phone hacks and whatnot. So a lot of them don't allow WhatsApp groups as a thing. So we got to be careful, kind of stuff with whenever media comes out with WhatsApp groups and that. I'm
Yeah.
very
No, yeah, that's
mm,
fair.
yeah.
No, I actually agree with what Reese said in the chat there. Like, we
Mm,
didn't need Ronaldo. We finished second last year.
mm.
I mean, like,
I think
clearly he
Sancho
wasn't
was a
it.
necessary signing. I think he
Not
was.
Sancho was a necessary signing, but he was
Mm,
put to like he's only now, like, in the last month, getting a chance, and
mm-hmm,
that's like he's because of the clout essentially that Ronaldo
mm-hmm.
has. Like, Sancho's not going to get into that team ahead of him.
Yeah,
And obviously losing another player, controversial means, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't know how the controversy is taken on the
we
on
we
the show,
are
so
we
I
are
won't
we
bring it
are a
up.
media platform at the same time. It's the same as the news. You feel free to speak your mind on this one.
I genuinely think Sancho was only getting a shout because of what came out with Greenwood.
That is a very hard one to say, because
Well,
I
he's
feel like
been getting in the
maybe
team.
I get maybe where you're coming from, because maybe the pressure that Sancho was feeling is maybe
Mm,
lifted a bit, because he knows now he can make a mistake and he probably can still keep his spot now, because
yeah.
Greenwood's not at his back. So that I kind of get. I kind of get maybe your point on that one.
Mm.
Right, yo. So that's more or less your time up in there. That was a really good call.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for joining as well. We'll be seeing what the chat thinks as well, and whether or not you'll be caller of the night. So thank you very much, Remy, and I'll catch you later on.
Not a problem.
Right, your team. So obviously, keep in mind. Obviously, there was some very good points from Remy there. Talking about the likes of Ronaldo wasn't a necessary signing, and whether or not the fact that Greenwood leaving is giving Sancho a boost. The fact that United finished second last season, and even then people were disappointed. So, it's an interesting one. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next phone in, which is Kiko. Kiko is a Celtic fan, and he's going to be joining us in a second here. So, Kiko, hope you're ready. And here we go. Right, Kiko, how are we? Oh, he's left and joined the different group. Let me try this one more time. Hello.
Right.
There we go. Oh, I'll turn you down a bit. You're very loud for me. That's cool.
Yeah.
How are we, Kiko? How are we?
Fantastic, Spud. How are you?
I'm groovy. Welcome to the show. What you wanted to talk about, mate? We'll
start with VAR in Scotland because of this week's event, shall we?
Okay, yeah, absolutely, mate. Now, this is something I've not really followed myself, so feel free to explain it to the best that you can.
Right, so as you know, I'm a Celtic fan, and VAR is very hotly requested by the old firm because of recency bias is going to come into play. That yeah, pretty much. Like every week they get a penalty. Bear in mind this week's probably the only exception in God knows how long. But they're still crying for penalties when they're not given.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, as a fan outside the old firm, you'll probably have a good opinion on this because you're going to feel like most of the lesser clubs get harder done by decisions.
You know what? You're absolutely right on that one because I do feel like occasionally it's a hard one, right? Because Livingston, let's face it, out of all the SPL teams, we have the smallest support, right? We do, and I feel like a lot of the time the referees can get intimidated by the fact that for example, when you come to the Tony Mac Arena, you just take free stands. We have the one. By the bigger supports, we feel like sometimes that does influence the ref's decision, but then obviously that also works in the opposite way because obviously refs know that this is a common thought process of a lot of fans, so sometimes they try to go too hard the other way, and then they'll get hard done by some decisions because they're conscious of the fact that there's a stigma around. So yeah, you know what, you're raising an absolute point because it goes both ways as well. So yeah, VAR for me is an absolute necessity. I think the quality of refereeing in the Scottish League is is one of the lowest I think I've ever seen this season in particular.
Do you want to know a fact?
Go for it.
What weekend? There was the one weekend, I don't know if you remember this, in Scotland where the referees went on strike.
Okay, yeah.
And it was the weekend we brought in, I think it was Swedish or Norwegian, one of the Scandinavian countries referees came in. And that was the lowest amount of mistakes by officials in a weekend in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one as well because VAR is definitely going to improve the refereeing. It's gonna let's face it, it's gonna be the same that's going to happen. It happened in England. We're gonna have VAR come in, and we're gonna have massive stoppages of play. Right, we are because refs are gonna have to get used to it, and the implementation of it is going to take a while. We're going to have that. Right, it's going to happen, and until they work out the kinks and the refereeing decisions improve, then we're gonna have that because let's face it. I mean, there's maybe one or two decent referees in Scottish football, and even then I can't even name them.
I mean, you're pushing that, man. That's a push. Every referee this season has a question mark over them. And it's like you go into a game and you're thinking, it's Hugh Dallas. That's all right. Oh, it's John Beaton. No, this isn't our weekend. But it's got to the point where it's like, oh, well. But then my main concern with VAR is, even though we're getting in something to help, it's still the same mediocrity that they're trying to back up their decisions. So, they've got the same mediocre refs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. We look at the problems it's created in England as well. It's the same referees behind the screens,
Yeah, you've got to get somebody that actually, knows it. Knows the game, and now get a high profile ref to introduce it and do it properly, but they're never going to do that because it's Scotland.
Yeah, I think it was maybe I maybe get the player wrong on this one, but I'm pretty sure it was Martin Keough that said that they should have 2 referees and an ex-player in the booth to help with some decisions, because players would obviously give a better circumstance of to maybe their intentions and some decisions, and therefore make it maybe less, a bit more black and white on some decisions, rather than always debating whether or not that should have been given or whatnot. Seeing it from players' perspective as well obviously helps, but I also thought there was a bit of a kind of decision by comment from Martin Keough, because we don't really know, for example, if like having an ex-player, what their views on the teams are and whatnot. Yeah,
because if you've got an ex-player in the booth and he's gonna be like, oh, like, you don't know the troubles, like, obviously if they're decades apart, but say you got somebody, for example, you got like Roy Keane, who's a highly contested person.
Yeah,
like, he's gonna dislike a lot of people. Like, as much as a United fan, for example, like, he doesn't like Pogba, so he's just like, if Pogba does something bad, he's gonna sway stuff, even though it's a United player. It's a poor example that way, but if they don't like a player like Graham Souness does not like Paul Pogba, he's gonna that it's gonna sway if you like a player or not, or how they play.
Yeah, no, but definitely bringing up good points here. The fact that with VAR, because it's not a perfect system. It hasn't been. I think the closest league I've seen that's maybe got it more right than wrong is the French league. I think the French league has got it more right than wrong. Definitely seen some of the decisions that have been made, and the fact that referees are owning up to their mistakes a lot in that league whenever they make one, and using the screen in the proper intention it was designed for, not as a kind of everyone else thinks you're wrong, mate, go to the screen to sell it, that has become in England. It was weird as well, because I thought they had the use of the screen right for a small period of time. It should be the referee that decides to go to the screen.
I think personally, like, the rest of the decision should be final. He should get final say. Like, I like this fat thing. We think you've made a mistake. Do you want, like, you should go look at this, and he's got to make the say on the day, because that's what he's paid to do. He's paid to make those big decisions. There shouldn't be he should be able to see the angles they're seeing, and if they're saying that's a stonewall penalty, as a qualified official, you should be able to go, yes, that is. I made a mistake. That's why the screen should be there.
Yes.
Like, they should be able to go look at this, please. Like, we're telling you, you've made a mistake. In our opinion, there's 3 of us saying it. Go have a look, see what you think. We'll show you the angles. This is where we think you went wrong. Do you think? And if he does, he does.
Right, Joe. Cool. You got another minute? Anything else to add to that?
Just the title race and the relegation race looks tasty in Scotland. So if you don't watch Scottish football, watch it.
It does, to be fair. Yeah, you look at the. I mean, obviously you're a Celtic fan. How do you feel that this title race is going to go?
Pendulum swung, mate. The pendulum has swung.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get cocky.
I did make comments and on TikTok as well, saying that before they signed Ramsey and Diallo, I did say that I felt Rangers Celtic had done the right thing. They'd made their moves early. They're integrating their players earlier, and that I feel like it's Celtic's on a charge.
Yeah.
Then they signed Ramsey and Diallo. I mean, Ramsey doesn't. I don't think he's played yet, has he?
He's played. I think he's had 2 sub appearances or 1 start for 60 and then like a 30. But the one thing I was pointing out, like, I work with a Rangers fan, he's pointed something out that's very interesting. Diallo's what, like 19, is he?
Yeah.
He's stupidly young, but all the games he's performed in have been played behind closed doors with no pressure. Now he's at arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world, in a title race that none of the 2 of us can afford to lose for the £40 million, and you're playing under extreme pressure. And if Celtic do win against Hibs next Sunday, Rangers 6 points behind, and if he starts, that's a lot of pressure on a 19-year-old shoulders. But
definitely. Right, Kiko, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. You definitely giving Remy a shout for the money at the moment. So we'll wait and see what the chat thinks, and we'll have a little vote later on and see how things go on. But
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for jumping in. Very good points today. So I'll catch you in a little bit, mate. Adios.
In a bit.
Right, very, very good call-ins we've had just there. Guys, if any of you want to jump in the phone in as well, get yourself in there. Make sure that you're in the Discord. Also, make sure that you do the self rolls and say what team you support. Because if I don't really know you, luckily I know both Remy and Kiko, so I've kind of gotten I already knew a little bit about them, but obviously, if I don't know what team you support, make sure you do the self rolls, say what team you support, get yourself in the phone and give us some points. We've had two great examples there of what I'm looking for on the phone ins. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm all up for a bit of banter as well. So if anyone wants to bring in more funny notes and stuff like that, go for it as well. We welcome all that as well. Let's go for the chat. Some of the comments that were made on the phone ins as well. So let's start with Goris. What Goris has said here. We've had shocking decisions go against us the past 6 games, cost us points in every game for St Johnston. Remy saying that I think VAR has been horrible for the Prem. You can never celebrate a goal. I don't know. I definitely feel you can celebrate a goal. It's just it's risky, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. In fairness, I don't know how I feel about it until VAR really comes to Scotland, and then you have it in the stadium, and you'll feel the differences that way. It's really difficult to say. Really difficult to say. I don't know how I'd feel about VAR in Scotland, but we'll wait and see, won't we? Let's see. Goris, if we use VAR, use similar to the Euros and 2018 World Cup, yeah, probably. I feel they gave more decision power to the people in the booth, basically, and that kind of reduced the decision making time quite a bit. Obviously, this season with VAR, they made the lines thicker, so the offsides were easier to kind of deal with. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they should be using it like they did in the World Cup, and that it worked. So. It has to be clear and obvious error, and with the referees now, that's every decision. Yeah, it's yeah, and the refereeing quality in the Scottish leagues is just nowhere near where it needs to be. It's just nowhere near where it needs to be. And VAR is going to really highlight that massively. I think we could lose a lot of the referees that are in the league because they won't be able to hack the fact that they having to go to the monitor every 5 minutes, because the decisions are wrong. Yeah, we've got to wait and see with that one. Let's see. Reese also said, but if you're going to the monitor and looking at it from every angle and watching it many times, then it isn't clear and obvious. Yeah, that is a fair point. If it's not clear and obvious, I think the clear and obvious bits maybe come up. Then maybe that's where the monitors maybe cropped up a little bit differently now, because if they go into the monitor, then there's obviously a clear and obvious error. So therefore, of course, the referee is going to change his decision. I don't think there's been one occasion where they've gone to the monitor and have stuck by their decision. I think nearly every single time they've changed it. Which, in fairness, because let's face it, who here's got the balls to say to them, like, listen, no, that is the right decision. Yous are wrong. I am right. You know, it's like you're 3 against 1 at that point. So, yeah, definitely, it's one that I would say it would take a referee with serious cojones to basically say no there. Was it gross to say mic'd up referees and have the conversation between VAR and the referees, like the Six Nations, works so well in rugby? I don't know how I feel about that, if I'm being honest with you. I just don't know. I think it's kind of referees a bit more seen and not heard. I feel that it opens them up to more criticism almost than. Yeah, I feel like it opens up to more criticism, and obviously they've got to watch more what they say. So yeah, it's a hard one. No, Kiko, no problem at all. You've raised a really good topic for us at the moment. A really good topic for us at the moment. VAR, absolutely. It's you know what, I don't know how I feel about it. It works really well in rugby, but rugby is really you really need the cameras to get the decisions right, because like you're looking at scrums, like people linked a lot, but the ball's in the middle there, and you can't see that from this angle. So it's you need the camera, you need help with the cameras to make the right decisions. So football, you very rarely ever like that. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think mic'd up referees are the way forward for football? Do you feel that that's maybe the way that things should go, or do you feel that maybe referees should be seen and not heard? Do you think that's maybe going to create further problems having them mic'd up in the Premier League, making more controversial decisions potentially that way? It's hard. Starting the cup game, Man United spent 37 million on Diallo. By the way, money in football, yeah, it is absolutely nuts. I don't mind the monitor, but if you look at it many times, it looks more. But yeah, absolutely, I do agree with that. Maybe we should limit the amount of times the referee can look at the monitor, say it like maybe two replays. That's all you get. If you're still unsure, you say no. You know. Rugby also has a very different fan base, with much more level-headed thinking than both fans. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. I think rugby, people are but it's not that as heated as football gets. It's just not as heated. So yeah, it's I would definitely agree with that. Rugby is different from football in the casual fan. Yeah, 100%. Do I duck? I wonder what that word was supposed to be. Want to hear Bobby Madden every week? Yeah, absolutely. Did anyone see in the league where the ref was mic'd up? Yeah, 100%. You know what? That was a couple of years ago. That now. So yeah, it's I don't know. I would agree. A post-match interviews, again, it kind of falls in the suit of referees being seen, not heard. You get the match reports afterwards. I personally don't think it's right for referees to be giving these interviews afterwards. I don't necessarily feel that's maybe the right way forward. But it's you know what, it's very highly debatable. In this one. A lot of people are going to have a lot of different opinions on whether or not they feel that mic'd up referees are the way that we're gonna go forward. I personally don't think so. I think it should be seen, not heard. Until, who knows, maybe it will happen and then maybe it'll get taken away. That's maybe what's gonna happen there. But yeah, I personally don't think so. Gives them a chance to justify the decision. It does, but I don't know. Personally, for me, it's just not something I want. Why should a player or manager need to give post match? They're the ones getting done over the refs every week. Should be the refs. I mean, I think you'd also struggle to find any refs that would want to do a post match. Because you imagine them having to put it this way. I think it was Mark Clattenburg that made the comment once. It's like, they'll never celebrate me when I get a decision right, so why should I explain when I get a decision wrong? You know what I mean? Like, I think that was a quote from him once. Like, they basically just only ever want to talk about the bad decisions. They never want to talk about the good decisions. You know? So that makes it harder to get referees to become referees, because all you're going to see is this bad character all over the place, and it's, yeah. I mean, I don't know if maybe the points I've just made there maybe help you understand why I definitely don't want referees to do post match or be mic'd up, but I don't know. It's up to you. So there's a lot. No worries, man. No worries. Listen, we'll be doing this probably, I think, in every Monday, Tuesday is what I'm looking at. It depends on when I'm on the late. With respect at places like Livingston and us, to be honest, I don't think there are enough angles and technology available for VAR to be used effectively, as in places like Parkhead or Ibrox. That is a fair point. However, I do believe that, as I think Kiko's just pointed there, there's ways that they can add more cameras. There's just ways that they can add more cameras. I mean, like in the Premier League, I think one of the offside ones that's in the box, it's just a static camera. It's not someone that's manned. It's just looking directly at the box, side on view. Because I think it's the one that decides whether or not the ball's gone out, like the goal line one. Most of you might know what I mean by that now. It's only a static camera. It doesn't move. even adding that on each end would work, you know. Grounds below the Premier League don't have VAR. Yeah, that's a fair point, but then again, at the same time, not many of those clubs have the same support base or massive support base of Rangers and Celtic. Let's face it, Rangers and Celtic can influence the rest of the league. I mean, Celtic and Rangers probably have combined more support than the entire championship. That's probably a fair assumption, but it's what it is on that one. Right, yo, team, so thank you very much for listening and watching potentially the very, very first Simply Sport pod. This is something I'm going to be looking to do nearly every week, about an hour to 2 hour long. We had 2 really great phone ends there, so let me know who you thought should be the call of the week. I'm about to do in chat now, give us a vote of who they think is the call of the week and who wins themselves a wee tenner. So make sure that you know, for the next one, you're in the Twitch chat, because I'm going to be doing these live every time I can, but I'm going to have more guests on, I think. I'm going to maybe invite a couple people on, so listen, if you think that you could be my co-host on the Simply Pod, you just need to get yourself in that phone in and get yourself involved in it, you know, be more regular, and who knows, you could be my co-host. So yes, guys, as well, I will be doing the Simply podcast, which is going to be the general one, potentially on a Thursday, Friday, depending on what's happening on each night. But make sure you follow me on Twitter at the Simply Pod, and you'll see announcements there as to when I'll be going live, when these things will be happening. We'll be looking at doing interviews, we'll be looking at debating some very big topics, so make sure you get involved in that as well. But thank you very much for listening or watching the podcast. It means an awful lot. Make sure you share it around, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much, guys.